click unless I want to be hypnotized. As if. Hypnosis isn't even real. How could watching this do anything to me? I must obey. I will do as you say. I am deeply hypnotized.
You want to be hypnotized? Okay. It sounds like a lot, yet it's not as much as you might think. In fact, it's not so different from how you are right now. Your body is relaxed. You're aware of everything. Even if you zone out, you might zone out anyway, in class or just staring at something. It's a 5 or 10 minute thing, and then ping, and you're awake again. It's lighter, and sort of a more total slip than you might think. The real question is actually this: what's the longest you can be hypnotized for? I think you would either drift until you drift out of it, or fall really asleep. I feel like that happens to me. One of those two ways. Yet I don't know what happens for everyone. So you can see with this file if you like what happens to you. And if you'd like, try a hypnosis file somewhere that's 5 or 10 minutes longer. You can gauge from the length of the file how deeply you would have to be hypnotized. Not to drift out of it for 37 minutes, or 49, or 57. I don't actually know how long the longest hypnosis file is. Maybe I'll try making mine longer and longer, and we'll see how that goes. This one, though, will only be so long. 5 or 10 minutes? I'm not really sure yet. If you want to be deeply hypnotized, take a deep breath in. Listen closely to every word, and relax. If you think you can't really be deeply hypnotized in 5 or 10 minutes, try closing your eyes right now, before I even ask. And you'll see, if you think you can be hypnotized in 5 or 10 minutes, or you think you've been hypnotized before, keep your eyes open, relax, and let it happen. Try as hard as you can to keep them open. Resist the heaviness that naturally tries to close them. The image you're watching doesn't seem to be changing, or only very slowly. Resist the weight that grows like tiny drops of dew along each of your eyelashes. A million tiny drops of liquid growing heavier. Almost freezing crystal solid and becoming heavier still. You know your eyes will close soon if they're open. Because you know you can be hypnotized. Feeling these sensations is powerful evidence that you are hypnotized, right?
Yes.
Now, again, or just as you thought could happen, even if you've never been hypnotized before that you know of. Of course, you might have been hypnotized and simply not known it, or not remembered it, or been hypnotized to forget. I often wonder how many people who listen to hypnosis things have, in fact, been hypnotized themselves, and hypnotized not to remember it, by someone somewhere sometime, a roommate without you knowing, a friend who brought it up several times, although you thought it was the first time every time, just as surprised that it really worked, and then opening your eyes, not remembering any part of how you were hypnotized, or that he had even said the word hypnosis. Yet something inside you feels something, and feels that thing again when you see someone get hypnotized, or when you end up on something that's supposed to hypnotize. You click, you play the video, not remembering why you're so curious, not knowing why it makes you instantly feel so different, so far out, and so lost in the heat. You don't remember the times you were hypnotized before, but something in you remembers the feeling. It's like having a sip of something once and knowing it's incredible, but not remembering the name. Then years later, you find out what it was and become completely obsessed. Even though you don't remember when or where you first had it, you just know you have, and you know you've been looking for it for years. Even though you forgot a long time ago that you were even looking. When was that sip? Maybe you were alone one time, in college or at work in a small room, and someone you thought you remembered, but couldn't quite place walked in and said, "You look tired." You said, Yeah, he said. Would you like to close your eyes for a minute and feel like you slept 6 hours? Sure. Give me your hand. Maybe you did. Then he waved his fingers in front of your eyes. Follow, back and forth. And then he snapped his fingers and said, sleep. Tugged your arm, and you just click, went out. Then you open your eyes, sitting up. He says he'll see you around and has to get back. The moment he's out the door, you blink and realize you can't remember his name or what he was even talking to you about. And that's when you were hypnotized, and you didn't even remember until now what that feeling was. Yet you know now that it's this: listening, relaxed. Or if you close your eyes the whole time, sure that you can't be hypnotized. Even with your eyes closed, you might not know quite what to do with all this. You can just listen. Take a deep breath and relax. Certain that you can't be hypnotized, I want you to imagine an apple in your mind. A perfect red and green ruby and emerald shining apple. And imagine taking a bite. How real can you make it? How much can you taste it? It's an interesting experiment. Another is to imagine a heavy bunch of green grapes. You eat one after another, yet the bunch never seems to get lighter. How much can you taste each one? And another thing you can imagine is that your eyes are heavy and closed. Too heavy to open right now. Fix in your mind that your eyes are locked closed. Too heavy to open even if I ask, until I snap my fingers. And if your eyes are open, or you were keeping them open, when I asked if you thought you could be hypnotized, I want you to close your eyes right now. In a few moments, I will ask you to open your eyes. And you will find that you don't. You can't. Until I snap my fingers. You expect to open them when I ask, because you know you can be hypnotized, and you're surprised to find that you don't, until I snap my fingers. And then you're surprised to find that you do, because you don't remember that snapping my fingers is the signal to open your eyes. Why don't you remember that? I'll tell you right now, when you're deeply relaxed. Like this, a sudden turn of the subject or a new thing to imagine bumps the frame of your memory, and the last few moments or minutes aren't written down. Try to open your eyes now. If you find that you can't, aren't you surprised? If you can't, why can't you? Stare right at the crystal. It's all you see in your mind. What you see is all the glittering facets of a crystal on a long, thin, shimmering string, slowly swaying in a small elliptical circle back and forth. Let the crystal make your eyes heavy, just like the crystal do. 1, 2, 3. Eyes closed. Click. And sleep. If your eyes are closed right now, you know that you are hypnotized. If you try to open them, you find they don't. If you try to lift yourself, you find that you don't. You feel heavier, and yet you float anyway. You're too deeply hypnotized to find the way out of trance right now. Spinning too fast to figure out where or when you are. You just feel heavier and float anyway. And if for too long you think and try to figure it out and you get too heavy, then at a certain point you just zone out a bit and drop off somewhere, floating, lost in thought, listening to me. I'm here with you. I'm here while you're hypnotized. This is me. You're in deep trance now, floating far away from where you usually are. Anything I told you now would be complete and total truth. If I said there are 7 unicorns running around you in a circle, you would go, beautiful, imagining them perfectly so real. If I said strawberry cheesecake, there it is. If I said whiskey, you could taste it or imagine what it tastes like. And you might even feel a little like you do when alcohol kisses your lips, because your body really does feel it before it's actually there. Now notice one of your arms. It feels lighter than the other. Lighter and lighter with every breath. So light it wants to lift. So light it begins to float upward all by itself. You don't have to do anything. Just let it happen. Your arm floats higher and higher, weightless, rising gently like a balloon. The lighter it feels, the deeper you go, floating, drifting, so peaceful. And so if I said waking up on the count of 3, you might feel a little no. Like a dream, you realize you're waking up from that you thought was so interesting and perfect, until just like dreamy bells, it's gone. 1, 2, 3. Open your eyes, and there you are. Could you really be hypnotized? Did you try to keep your eyes open or closed? Please tell me in the comments. I'm quite curious to know whether you thought this would work, and whether it did or not. Breathe in feeling excellent, and have a perfect day. Goodbye. Click.